Okay, guys, as far as injuries are concerned, Higbee was limited. Akello Witherspoon and Bobby Brown did not participate. Everybody else was full.
Sean, do you have any clarity?
I do. I expect all of them to play.
Do you have any clarity on Alaric and Tyler Higbee's chest injuries?
Yeah, so, Tyler's making great progress. He was able to participate today. Alaric, we didn't practice yesterday. It was just a projection. So, got a shot to the chest in the game. Nothing like what Higbee's was, and he was good today.
What exactly happened?
He just got the little chest contusion.
Rain and snow in the forecast for Sunday. Is there any way you guys can prepare for out here?
You know the answer to that question.
I gotta say, I asked.
Yeah, there you go. I would say this, the weather has changed in the last couple of days. We'll see what it is, but we are aware of that. I think the biggest thing is just being mindful of if the surface is affected, that our cleats aren't an issue. That's a big part of it. Brendan Berger does a great job with that, Lindsey. And, I think, Matthew's had experience handling that ball. I know this, if it does snow, if it does rain, we got to be mindful of what we need to do to adjust and adapt, but there's no way it can be as cold as it was at the Jets game.
First, obviously, talked a lot about the first time to face Saquon Barkley. Now, seeing him again, how much do you think just that earlier experience is going to help those guys just knowing what they're
Here's what I would say. I think humbling experiences with the right people can be great learning ops, great growth opportunities. I think there's a ton of respect that our guys have where you think you know what it's like, and then when he gets to the second and third levels and the way that their offensive line is able to come off and get removal on some of their double teams, you have a real appreciation for the type of strain and finish that it's going to take to play at the level that we're capable of and what's going to be necessary if we expect to be able to advance. So I think it's definitely helpful. I think both teams, I think they've continued to improve since then. I think there's been a lot of learning, a lot of growth from us since then, but ultimately everything that occurred in that game, it's about how we play in this 3-hour window, but I absolutely think there's appreciation and understanding of what's going to be required for us to try to slow down what's a great offense.
Sean, what went into the decision not to practice yesterday?
We had a similar situation, Adam, in the 21 season when we played Arizona on Monday night, and then we were going to Tampa on a short week. Felt like that schedule worked out. I think the most important thing is let's allow our players to be able to get recovered, turned over. They came in, they lifted, they got themselves refreshed and recharged. I think our guys have been able to handle short weeks, if you will, and so we felt like it would be better to say, all right, let's do a thorough, diligent job of putting together first, second, and third down today, get a little bit of good stress on their bodies, and then we'll try to get back to what is a normal rhythm and routine in terms of on our Fridays, on our Saturdays, but really just some previous experience with that, and it enabled really, most importantly, the players, but also the coaches to not feel like you're just throwing a plan together, but you're diligent about that, and our guys handled it really well today.
Against the Eagles in Week 12, Kyren had a short fumble in 4 games. Hasn't had one since he's played in some bad weather games. What have you seen from him as he made that a priority not being involved?
He's always made it a priority, but I think the sense of urgency increased. I think the coachability, I think he's one of those guys, Sarah, that he's all about the right stuff. And so when you have some challenging, moments or situations that occur, those are where the real growth ops exist. Really similar to what I was talking to Lindsey about in terms of our defense seeing their offense. Thought he's done a really good job. Obviously, there were some good ones the other day that we got away with against Minnesota, but have total trust and confidence, and I think he understands. And I think they do as good a job as any team that we've played this year in terms of attacking at the football. And you got to be mindful of in a lot of those traffic situations where you're leaving it susceptible and what's going to be necessary to take care of it.
Sean, two questions.
I'll come to you next.
What are you thinking going into another matchup against Vic Fangio?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you guys get Cooper Kupp more involved in terms of being targeted?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing is this is a Rams offense versus the Eagles defense. Coach Fangio is, there's a ton of respect that I have for him, the consistency at which he's done it, the way that, his guys play. There's an identity, there's a philosophy, but I think there's a flexibility like I talked to you guys about earlier in the year in terms of, all right, there's some foundational principles, but what fits this group? They're obviously at the top of the charts in every single metric that really matters. They're as good as it gets defensively, and I think that's a tremendous credit to his leadership, his ability to be able to have a great staff around him, and then ultimately get it communicated to their great players, and they bring it to life. And so we know what a great challenge it's going to be, and how little margin for error you have if you expect to consistently move the ball and ultimately finish drives against as good a defense as there is in this league, arguably the best. And then as it relates to Cooper, we really try to get him involved. He's always a focal point. Sometimes the coverages don't end up allow that to occur. I thought the play that he made down the right sideline was a tremendous play for us. There were some other opportunities, but then really once we kicked the field goal and it got to 27-3 the other night, there was a very different approach that we took. And like any great leader, I think he was just glad to be a part of, winning for our team, but he'll always be a guy that we want to try to be able to get involved. But the amount of passes that we threw just in general and the types of passes, and then, we were in some different personnel groupings that limited the total snap count for our receivers in general. So that did limit some of the opportunities as it relates to the Vikings game.
On Monday night, a lot of guys were wearing those fire department. They talked about it afterwards.
Yeah.
Like Hoyt. Does that emotion play into the recovery process this week?
That's probably a better question for those guys. I think, here's what I would say. I think like we talked about after the game, and really it continues to go on. I think the appreciation, the perspective of, where sports fit in terms of the platform that our guys have to be able to do right, to be able to offer a little bit of a temporary relief for the amount of people that are feeling this thing, to really use that as an opportunity to make sure you recognize, all right, these first responders in the LA, the fire department, what a great job they've done of doing some real life stuff that's a lot bigger than sports. And so I'm just really proud of our group and the way they've handled it. I think they understand the perspective and the platform, and the way that they've approached all of it has been something that I'm really proud to be a small part of.
When you
Couple
look
more,
back at
guys.
that first meeting with the Eagles, obviously Saquon sticks out. But is there something else you pop in the tape that really stuck out to you that we have to do this better?
Certainly there is. I'm not going to say that on here, but here's what I would say. I think when you look at it, I think there's been a lot of growth from our group since then. I think that was a very humbling night. I think first and foremost, you look at yourself as a coaching staff and you say, what can we do to make sure that our players are in some better spots? And then what kind of sense of urgency is going to be required on a day in, day out basis to be able to continuously improve? There's a reason why they are where they are. They're an excellent football team. There's no weaknesses that they have. They're well coached. They have great personnel. They play a certain style of football that is really conducive to being able to win as a team, and that's why they've won so many games. And so we have to do a great job of trying to be able to limit some of the opportunities, be able to get off the grass on third down. The possessions end up being limited, but obviously the run game is a big factor. Some different things to try to limit some of those vertical seams, but they've got a bunch of different ways they can make you pay, and Saquon is certainly an incredible player that we have tremendous respect for. He went absolutely off that night like he's done all season. But I think, like what I was talking about with Lindsey earlier, I think there's a great sense of urgency and understanding of what's going to be required, really in all three phases, to be able to play against an opponent of this caliber.
When you look back to the
Last
night,
one, guys.
right, the elation,
Yeah.
winning that game, then quickly you come back and realize you're coming back to a natural disaster that was taking place. Like, take me through that thought process, how you quickly shifted to, okay, we're going back to this.
Yeah, it's hard. Because it's still going on. My power at my house went out again today. And so, I think what you understand is that, this does offer a temporary relief. I was incredibly impressed with our guys' ability to be able to say, all right, what can we do, making sure that first things first, our family, friends, everybody's taken care of. How can we use this platform to be of service to the people that are doing the real work as they're really trying to get all of it under containment? But then also, can we be totally and completely present, and can we continue to represent the right way? That was the thing I was as proud of as anything. I think our guys represented LA the right way, use sports as a positive example of what that platform can provide, and that's exactly what is going to be required this week. And I think they understand too that these are precious opportunities that they've earned. Not saying that it's more important than anything that's going on right now. We know where the priorities lie. But I think you can take care of both at the same time, and our guys have done an incredible job of being able to manage that, illustrated by last week. And then, we can sit here and say, challenges of a short week, different things like that. We're not going to allow it to be an excuse. We got to be at our best on Sunday at 3 p.m. In Philadelphia, and we love the opportunity and the challenge, and here we go. Okay? Thanks, guys.
Hold on.
does that affect you for
We'll see when we get there. Every situation, every weather situation I've been a part of is kind of different. You go out there and see what you can do, what you can't do, and I'm sure that, Sunday will be no different.
Sean has continuously called the game Week 12 a humbling experience. How would you describe the Week 12 game against the Eagles?
Yeah, that's about right. Didn't do a whole lot great. Moved the ball a few times, got some points, but game got away from us a little bit, and never want that to happen. So just doing everything we can to try and make sure that, against a really talented football team at their place, we, come ready to go and play solid football.
Playoff wins are huge. You guys picked up one on Monday, obviously, right? The elation is here. But you get on that plane quickly, you kind of think back to what you're coming back to. What was that thought process like?
A lot of unknowns, obviously, and luckily we got back here and everybody's doing everything they can to make it, as functional of a city as we possibly can. I think they're doing a hell of a job, which is great. And then, our mind turns to football straight, right away. It's a short week anyways, playing on a Monday night. They got a full 24-hour jump on us at least. So, try to get your body and your mind ready as quickly as you can.
We've talked a lot about the energy that Tyler's brought to the team since he's come back to practice. But on a more practical level, what has his presence meant for the offensive operation?
Oh, it's been great. He's a guy that's familiar with what we've been trying to do. He's been here for a long time. He knows what the standard is, the expectation. And then, frankly, he's just a really good football player, too. You get out there, whether it's catching a seam early or a little flat route late and making somebody miss. He did a nice job with his opportunities, on Monday. And hopefully he's feeling, great and can go.
There's so much talk about after the game Monday about with the fires and your family helping with buses. How much this week is the recovery needed because of maybe that adrenaline, maybe that helping others? Is that part of the recovery process?
Yeah, that was it was a long week last week for us, for everybody in the city, ourselves included, picking up and moving to a different state and staying in hotels and doing all the stuff that, comes with moving that many people to, a new location and try and still practice and do all the things that we did. And then, we're 24 hours behind on a Monday night game. So, there's definitely some recovery that comes into that, making sure that we're doing everything we can to sleep as much as you can, get your body right, get your mind right, ready to go, so that come Sunday we're fresh again and ready to go play with that same energy and passion that we had last Monday.
And Matthew, with this situation ongoing, do you get the sense that wins now by the ranks for this community a little bit more important in any way, and does that motivate you in any way to bring to this community?
Yeah, definitely. We put a ton of work into this all the way back into OTAs and minicamp and all that. So, we're obviously intrinsically motivated as well, man. We've put our life on hold in a lot of ways, in a lot of areas to come and play football and do everything we can to try and help this team win. So, we're motivated for our team and the work that we put in, but we're definitely motivated by, the situation that is going on around here, and then the people that are, leaning on us to give them a little bit of joy come the weekend, and hopefully we can do that again.
These last 7 games, where do you think the offense has improved most?
I think, 7 games, that's a big sample size. We've had some good ones and some not so good ones. But, no, I think when we're playing on all cylinders, we're not going backwards because of penalties or negative plays and things like that. We've done a really nice job of staying on schedule. And then, when the big plays have presented themselves, we did a nice job of making them. I think, Monday night was another occurrence of that. We had some chances to make some big plays. We made them. A couple even that we probably could have made and didn't. So, I think that's the biggest thing, is just trying to make sure that a couple of those drives that we had were derailed from penalties and negative plays. If we can avoid those, then we've done a really nice job.
What stands out to you as a quarterback facing a Vic Fangio defense, and how do you get Cooper maybe more involved in terms of catching the ball?
Yeah, as far as Vic goes, played against his defenses a bunch of times. Like every coach and coordinator in this league, he's evolved with the game a little bit and put his spin on his defenses, every place that he's been with the personnel groupings that he's had and the people that he's had to play with. So, this defense is the best in the league. depending on what numbers you look at. You know, and anytime you're talking about that, you know, it's a really talented group, and those guys they got a great front seven, they got a great back end. I mean, anything you'd want in a defense, they've got it. 2 great corners, you know, a star that's a young guy that's playing really well, a bunch of guys up front that are good at stopping the run and attacking the passer. So we'll have our work cut out for us really at all 3 levels, and they're playing really well as a unit as well. As far as Cooper goes, you know, it's been strange. Obviously, the ball that, you know, I ended up throwing at Puka's feet the other day, he's sitting there wide open, and it just seemed like we were rewatching the first time we played the Eagles, you know, earlier this year. Coop and I were maybe this morning or whatever it was, and he's open on another one, and I get hit right as I'm throwing it to, and he's like, kind of been the way it's gone, you know. And so sometimes those things happen, and he's an unbelievable teammate, a guy that sacrifices for our team in so many different ways. And you know, I know that we're at our best when everybody on the field's touching the ball, and you know, he made his presence felt on Monday night with a big time catch on a 3rd down that we needed. So you know, I think anything we can do to get him the ball, that's great. And you know, if you talk to him, I mean, he's just such a great team guy. He's all about us winning and doing whatever he can to help us win.
Couple more guys. When you look at the tape from Monday night, you see your defense. What did you notice? What stood out to you the most watching them?
I think just the style, the energy that they played with. You know, I think so many times this season I haven't done a good enough job of getting us in the end zone early or getting points on the board early, and we were able to get out to a little bit of a lead. And man, you see them attack, and that's an awesome feeling as a quarterback, as a player on offense, to know that, man, if you can get these guys the lead, these guys are really going to go. And they've been doing, you know, great even without the lead too. Don't get me wrong, but it was fun to watch that and know that you know, these guys they're a special group when they get going, and it's fun to watch them play and feed off of each other. The energy that they have is real.
How about for you when you start those first 2 drives with 20-yard completions?
Yeah.
What does that do? And you've talked about what it does for everyone around you.
Yeah.
What does that do for you personally?
It's great. You know, I'll take them whenever I can get them, but you know, the sooner the better. There's no question about that. I think for our team, you know, a little bit of wind in the sails. You know, and each game is different. Each team is different on how you can attack them and how that might look. May not be a bunch of 20-yard completions, you know, every single game. But finding a way to get points on the board, get down there, converting on 3rd down, doing the things that it takes to score touchdowns, it's huge. And when we've done that in games, we've played well on offense. So just try to continue to do that. And that's not to say that if we don't come out on Sunday and score the first time, you know, you don't sit there and hang your head. You know, fight your ass off on the next drive to try and go get points too. So, like I said, you add them up at the end of the game. Doesn't matter when you score them, but got to have more than the other team.
Now, you've always maintained every game's important. But at this stage, when there's only 4 teams left in the NFC and you're close to getting to the ultimate goal where you want to be, how do you describe what it's like this week, having this opportunity at this point again in your career?
Fun. You know, it's a hell of a lot of fun. It's so much work. I sit there and I think back, you know, first day of training camp, you know, how you were feeling and all the things that are going through your mind, and you know, looking at the end of the calendar and thinking about how long of a journey that is sometimes, you know, it's overwhelming, a little bit daunting, but, you know, to be here now, to have worked through all the things that we've worked through as a team, as an individual, you know, to get to this point and have the opportunities that we have in front of us is it's really fun. And I'm enjoying the hell out of it. I know guys on our team are doing the same. You know, just trying to lead as best I can to help us give ourselves the best chance we can to get a win, keep it moving.
I know you guys have played some really tough atmospheres already, but Philadelphia can be really loud and all
Yep.
the things. How do you prepare for that one?
You know, I think, like you said, we've been in that, you know, sort of an arena, you know, plenty of times this season. I mean, week 1 was rocking and rolling in Detroit, and you know, I mean, it's NFL football. I mean, everywhere you go, it's tough. You know, so some of our games here have been loud. So, you know, we just prepare for it, continue to do everything we can to try to create and emulate, you know, those situations and that noise out here at practice and go operate in it. And then it comes down to me doing as good a job as I possibly can at communicating on Sunday, and those guys, you know, relaying that communication and playing as one.
Yeah, I think, as a head coach, he does a great job of just, I think, giving direction. And, you know, coaches talk about it all the time. When they emphasize something, our job is to bring it to life, and we've done a good job of doing that over our time here. And I think some of the direction that he gives, I think that it falls into that same line. Find ways to make that stuff come to life, and understanding that there is something to be said about the focus that comes from the winding down of things, and the when you don't have anything else guaranteed past that, there's a finality to it that brings a good focus, good concentration, and just kind of brings some attention to that. I think was a good thing kind of going down the stretch there for us.
Sean told us that Tyler was spitting blood after his hit in the first quarter on Monday. He's right back out here practicing again. Like, what place has he occupied for this team and this locker room during this era of Rams football?
Yeah. I don't know if there's many people that have embodied what we want, like what Coach has talked about, what being a Rams football player is. I don't know if there's a better example than Tyler Higbee and what he's done for us over the course of his career, battling through things, but also just the teammate that he is, the workhorse that he is on the field, the energy that he brings. It's just, he's a special football player, a really special dude. And so, he's. If we had a lot of Tyler Higbees, we'd be a real good football team.
How are you, or how do you cope with one target, one catch, as a guy who's, been a focal point of the offense?
Yeah, you pray a lot. You do a lot of prayer, meditation. No, it's just it's football in some respects. Statistically speaking, I've gone through similar things to this before, and back in 2019, I think I finished the last half of that season, probably averaging less than 50 yards a game-ish or something like that, and so statistically, it's like, hey, there's something's wrong, but I can look back on these times like, man, I was playing good football, and in the same way, I just want to be playing good football. I want to be able to watch the tape and see that I'm doing things the right way, I'm separating, that I'm competing for my teammates, I'm blocking, doing my assignments, and I am, and that's all I can do. That's all I can control, and whatever they ask me to do, I'm going to continue to do that. And I do believe that if you do things the right way for long enough, eventually things will come back full circle. And so I'm going to take that mentality and keep praying, and these things will work out.
Matthew noted earlier, there's also been a couple instances where you were open and he got hit or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
No, that's been the kind of the story of the year. It's just kind of been every time. It's like, man, the few plays that you have, like a really good opportunity to make a big play, and there's a breakdown somewhere, and it doesn't work out. And but that's football. And I'm on a really long streak of some unfortunate things that have happened. But it is what it is. And I'm going to continue to battle, and continue to come in here and work for these guys. And that's how it goes sometimes.
After that win Monday night, how quickly did your mind shift to really not knowing what's going on back here?
So, pretty quickly. Obviously we had our families with us there, so you come out of the locker room and the entire organization's families are there, and we're getting on the bus with the kids, and it's just a completely different atmosphere from, getting onto a bus and everyone's watching film and going over that stuff. It's like everyone's got a bunch of kids on their lap who are all tired because it's 9:30 at night. It's past their bedtime. We've got a bus ride, a plane ride, a bus ride, a car ride home, and everyone's just kind of gearing up for that. So the getting back to oh man, this is the reality is that there's a lot of people that are out of their homes. There's a lot of stuff going on at home. There's a bunch of fans here that are now busing all the way back. So the reality sets back in pretty quickly of just the gravity of the situation outside of football. But I was thankful for what the Rams did and just being able to get our families out there. That was a huge, I know that's a huge investment for them financially, but also just logistically what they had to do. So I'm very thankful for that.
Considering how this community is hurting from everything going on, would it be fair to say that maybe these victories mean a little bit more to the community, a little bit more important to get these victories for the community?
Yeah, I think there's a level of that. I understand that there's a lot of reasons guys play this game, but to have this going on, to see the fans that have committed, that have sacrificed a lot, and in the midst of all this that's going on, continue to support support us, that we feel that. And, there certainly is a piece of us that, man, you want to play for the people that are trying to find some utility that comes from, being able to cheer on their football team, watch their guys go to work, and, we want to be able to provide a good product for them, provide a good show, and give them a W for sure.
As you said, that a lot of people play for a different reason. Is that real in this locker room in terms of one guy more than the other? Kobe Durant's eyes about popped out when he heard 32 buses from there. Can you speak to what's kind of the feeling in that locker room with these fires still going on?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of guys that are feeling it in a lot of different ways. I mean, some guys grew up around here, a family here that are like, not only are they affected, but their whole family is feeling the effects of this. And I think that is kind of the thing that, like, us going away together and the Rams bringing everyone to Arizona. I think that's what you could feel it. You could feel just that many people are affected by these things, and it's felt deeply, and I understand that the connection of that was just family, but you connect with the friends, the people that you're feeling the friends' lives have been uprooted, and who knows what's going to happen, but you want to support them in any way you can, and just like I think in all this tragedy and all this stuff that's so terrible, there are so many people that want to help. And I do think that's the flip side of this thing, is you're going to get an opportunity to see the Los Angeles people who, are oftentimes in media shed in a bad light, but you're going to see the generosity. You're going to see the people that are selfless and are wanting to help and step outside of themselves for a little bit and be able to step in other people's shoes and say, how can I get my hands dirty and help people out? So I'm excited for that.
The weather forecast calls for cold, freeze, and snow. How does that impact the way that you're able to do your job, not just as a receiver, but as a blocker as well?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't played in like a true snow game. I played at Eastern Washington. We played in very cold games, but never anything with actual snow on the ground. We'll see what ends up happening, but you just handle it. You handle it, whatever it's going to be. We were just like a couple weeks ago watching the the famous snow game that Matthew played in with Calvin. Calvin's hyperventilating with the snow in his helmet and everything. I was telling Matt, like, man, that would be so cool. Like, that's such a unique thing to play in that, because then all the game playing, all the stuff that you go into it, all kind of comes down to, like, man, who wants it more? Who's going to just find a way to get it done? And that'd be a cool thing. Who knows what's going to happen? But I'm excited. Whatever the conditions are, I know we'll handle it the right way. You have one.
Yeah, Coach McVay is using the same practice schedule that he used in 21, coming off the Arizona win, going into the Tampa game. What worked well about that approach?
I was told that we just copy and pasted kind of some of that stuff over. I didn't even remember what it was. So I was wondering why we weren't doing anything, what we were doing and weren't doing yesterday versus what we're doing today. And they said that's what we did then. I was like, you know what, it worked. I'm good with it.
The weather forecast calling for very cold game with some wind and maybe some snow. How does that affect the way that you do your job, in the pass game and also in the run blocking?
I can't really think of how it's going to affect you. I mean, we have the ability to wear your 7-step cleats out there, and we're going to be prepared in the ways that we can. But it's exciting. I think the game of football is meant to be played physically, so I think that's what Sunday will permit.
You were at the Laker game last night. Did you feel some of the emotion differently of sports helping this city with what they're going through?
I think so. It was. I'm a big basketball fan, and so it was sweet to. I think resilient would be the word that I would use for that game that I watched last night. I think that's been used in our facility over these last couple of weeks as we've been playing football, and it's something that, man, it's in what's going on in the events that we've been faced with. Being resilient will pay off. So I think that's something that I definitely saw last night, and it's being preached in here as well.
I was going to say, is it still an important part of this week? It's much different than moving to Arizona.
but is it still part of the mantra here?
Yeah, I think it definitely, with the last thing with just all of the events and how immediate it was affecting us, but it's still being that, man, it wasn't something that just kind of disappeared overnight. People are still being affected, and we're still trying to make sure the efforts from our organization and for the people of Los Angeles are being applied to being able to help the people out here, and then also the urgency and the excitement that it felt for us to win on Monday. So, and it's just feeling that from the people that came out to support us, being able to come back home, and then just being back in our environment.
This team seems to thrive on adversity. How does it make you stronger?
Ooh, I think the classic saying is, "What doesn't kill you only makes you stronger." And I think as a little brother, I think of all those moments. I took my fair share of being and all the reps you have in practice of being able to learn and it not going your way, and then being able to go out there and have the week of preparation to correct those mistakes, so that then being able to go out there and execute on Sundays. It's a really rewarding feeling.
Eagles have two great corners in Darious and Young Mitchell. In that Week 12 game, what did you see from them that stood out about the way that they played the game?
I think two smart football players, guys who are well aware and communicate well on the defensive side of the ball, and then especially in Darious Slay, a veteran guy who's been around and seen different movement patterns and different concepts, and being able to obviously play with Matthew and stuff like that. So, but it's an exciting challenge for us in the wide receiver room.
Do you think he gains any advantage or information having played with Matthew for as long as he did?
I wouldn't say so. I think we have the advantage in being the young guys on the football field.
What's the worst conditions you've played in, weather-wise? What's any story of a game you played in that was awful?
We made it out of New York. I think the last time when we played the Jets, I thought it was pretty cold over there. I was like, honestly, I don't think I had feeling in my feet until halftime. We went in for halftime, and I was like, oh, there on my toes. I felt like I was running on 4x4s the whole game. But so that one was pretty cool. And there are maybe some in youth football back in Utah where we played in a little bit of snow, but they got the heat warmers and stuff. They put your 7 studs in, and then we'll be ready to run the ball and do whatever it needs to win.
Thanks, Puka.
Thank you.